I was married for 15 years.
Why does it happen that one woman thinks she deserves everything while another just doesn't have that inside her?
Divorce is emotionally on par with the death of a loved one.
Why do people cheat? Why do we look for a mistress on the side?
You live in the shadows, you know? I mean, you don't go out. You don't talk to other PEO. Well, you basically live undercover, in short.
So what does it actually mean to work on yourself? And here I also wanted to talk about femininity.
If a person doesn't have energy inside, then how are they going to take action? How are they going to make decisions?
Some people took off to Vietnam. Could you talk about that experience as well?
That's when I built my business. I bought a car, I bought an apartment, and I remember, I just kept moving forward like a tank. I was an achiever.
Were you able to keep a sense of respect for men? Hello everyone, my name is Azimel Nazarova. You're on the Zurich podcast channel. Today our guest is energy practitioner and hypnotherapist Gulsik Tosambikova. Gulsik, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I really hope today's podcast will be very informative and useful for our viewers. The floor is yours. Could you tell us a little about your work, your journey, and just about yourself in general?
Hello everyone, and Azimel, thank you so much for inviting me. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Gulsik Tosambikova, an energy practitioner and hypnotherapist. I was born and raised in Bishkek. I'm 47 years old, I have 2 grown children, and I've been practicing hypnotherapy for 5 years now. I came to this because, as they say, psychologists aren't born, they're made. In other words, I went through some crises in my own life, and by overcoming those crises, I was able to help myself, and then, little by little, I started to be able to help others too. I graduated from the American University of Central Asia here in Kyrgyzstan, in Bishkek, and from the Academy of Management under the President of the Kyrgyz Republic with a focus on business management. And now I am continuing my studies to become a psychologist, specifically in my current area of specialization. I graduated from the Academy, the American Academy of Hypno-Coaching, the Moscow Directive Center of Hypnosis, and now I am successfully working in this field.
Great, thank you. So, what was that turning point when you decided, that's it, I'm leaving my current job? What was the reason, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, to put it briefly, I was married for 15 years, and up until that point, I had never even thought about self-development, mindfulness, practices, or techniques. I just didn't have any of that in my life. For 15 years, I lived with my family, kids, work, husband. And then, after 15 years, unfortunately, I went through a divorce. My brother passed away. Basically, some major events happened in my life, and that's when I started focusing on self-development. I began to wonder why things weren't working out for me in life. At that time, I thought of myself as smart and beautiful, like I could do anything, I could handle everything, but somehow life just wasn't working out, you know? Then I had a second serious relationship, and the same thing happened there as in my first marriage. And that's when it hit me that I must be doing something wrong, that maybe the problem is with me, not with other people. And that's when, for the first time ever, I reached out to a specialist, for the first time in my life. It was the first time I saw what real inner work was. Before that, I had no idea about any of this, but at that point, things were really, really tough. I mean, there were some really hard moments, you know. And when I realized that through this inner work, through working on myself, I could solve these life issues that I hadn't been able to resolve, well, basically, for 40 years. So, step by step, I started moving forward. Then I went into hypnotherapy, and after that, I joined the Moscow Directive Center. So, when I found myself, I also found my calling. Before that, I worked on international projects, and then I ran a business, which was actually quite successful. But all my life, you know, Azimel, I was kind of searching for myself. I didn't really like anything at all. I've done all sorts of things in my life. I remember my mom even used to say, like, listen, you need to put down roots somewhere. But I was searching my whole life. Now I realize I was searching for myself. And when I started doing this energy practices, raising my energy, learning, reading, that's when I really got hooked. I can do everything, I'm capable of anything, but somehow life just hasn't worked out, you know? Then I had a second serious relationship, and the same thing happened there as in my first marriage. And that's when it hit me that I must be doing something wrong, that maybe the problem is with me, not with other people. And that was the first time I ever reached out to a specialist, the very first time in my life. It was the first time I saw what real inner work was. Before that, I had no idea about any of this. At that time, it was really, really tough. There were some really tough moments. And when I realized that through inner work, through working on myself, I could solve these life issues that I hadn't been able to resolve for, like, 40 years. Step by step, little by little, I started to move forward. Then I went into hypnotherapy, and after that, I joined the Moscow Directive Center. So, when I found myself, I also found my calling. Before that, I worked on international projects, and then I was quite successfully running a business. But all my life, I was searching for myself. I didn't really like anything at all. I tried all sorts of things in my life. I remember my mom even used to say, like, listen, you need to grow roots in one place. But I spent my whole life searching. Now I realize that I was searching for myself. And when I started doing this, energy practices, raising my energy, learning, reading, that's when it really started to click for me. I actually started to really enjoy it. And now I understand what it means to do what you love. And little by little, that's how it all started to take off.
But why energy practices specifically? How does it usually go for us? Most people go to a psychologist or a coach. So why energy practices in particular?
Right now, the most valuable currency in the world is energy. People don't realize it. They start running around, taking action, trying to solve problems. But if you look even deeper, if a person doesn't have energy inside, then how is he going to take those actions? How is he going to solve anything? In fact, our life, our universe, is quantum physics. And the law of attraction works precisely. That is, like attracts like. If your vibration is low, if you're constantly in grief, fear, sadness, depression, or, say, feeling guilty or lonely, then, imagine this, picture a 22-story building. And you're on the first floor, or not even the first, you're in the basement. And in the basement, it's damp, there are rats, there's disease, there's misery, you get it? And our task is to raise our vibration upward. Because the highest vibration is the vibration of gratitude, the vibration of love, the vibration of happiness. So when you start vibrating at that frequency, according to the law of attraction, your desires, let's say, your car, your self-fulfillment, money, wealth, abundance, they'll align with you, you see? But when you're down below in the basement, and happiness and big money are up above, how can you reach them? There's such a gap in between, you know? You'll never get there. Well, you might get there, but only through effort, through hardships, through, really hard work. That's why people say, you see, it seems like for some people everything just comes easy. And others work and work their whole lives and still can't achieve it. But it all depends on energy. A person who is energetically happy, joyful, and light attracts everything easily.
So we need to be, in fact, let me sum it up here. You yourself were in that state back then on a low vibration, and you attracted men like that at the time, right when you just started working on yourself, raising your vibration, raising your energy. That's when you met a man who was truly worthy of you.
Look, a lot of women want a rich, successful, amazing man. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand that a rich, amazing man will also choose someone like himself, a woman on his level. If your vibration is low, if you're suffering, feeling lonely, or unhappy, then a successful, joyful, positive, wealthy man won't look down. He won't be looking for someone below his level, he'll be looking for an equal. Like attracts like.